The international pushback is growing against incoming U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to acquire Canada, the Panama Canal, and Greenland. Today, some of Europe's powerhouses responded, saying it's prepared to unleash tariffs of their own or even military means. After the president-elect didn't rule out use of force to absorb sovereign lands, authorities in Greenland and Denmark have also said that the territory is not for sale as well. Jason Gaidola is in studio with more on this tonight. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Manisa. National security concerns and economic interests are the reasons Trump gave regarding his expansionist agenda, saying China and Russia are part of the equation.
You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because...
Yesterday, incoming U.S. President Donald Trump did not rule out tariffs or even military forces to obtain control of the Panama Canal, Canada, or Greenland, claiming new territory is needed for national security.
You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen. We're not letting it happen.
Trump's son, Donald Jr., touched down on the Danish territory the same day, claiming a private visit, but the family didn't hide their intentions.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, that's great. Well, you go have a good time, everybody, and we're going to treat you well, and you know that, and just take care of yourself.
Grønland er ikke til salg. Det har vi jo sagt alle sammen, og det kommer aldrig til salg.
Despite the high-profile trip, Greenlandic and Danish authorities say the territory that holds a U.S. base and a vast supply of natural resources isn't for sale.
Tons of important stuff that we need every day today, Greenland's got it, okay? And plus, as climate change occurs and Greenland, the ice dissipates away from Greenland, more and more of the stuff becomes accessible. So Greenland is, in some ways, like Canada, is literally speaking a gold mine.
Now, questions surround the relationship between the U.S. and its NATO allies.
Imagine for a moment we use military force to compel something out of Denmark. The rest of NATO would be required by Article 5 of the NATO Treaty to line up with Denmark against us. So, you know, this would get pretty complicated pretty fast.
Does it invoke Article 5? Well, it couldn't possibly because, first of all, you need consensus. The United States it would be the belligerent, so it's not going to agree to Article 5. So there's no Article 5.
Today, European heavyweights, France and Germany, say they're also ready to use force of their own, whether it also be tariffs or even military defense around Greenland. Adding a EU treaty obligates them to intervene.
It would apply to Greenland, but we are indeed speaking of something extremely theoretical on which we will not want to elaborate.
I don't think it's a military option for the Europeans. It is a political option in terms of where they align themselves in global geopolitics, and there. The Russians will be very active.
Meanwhile, the U.S.'s executive branch had different thoughts about Trump's future plans.
The idea expressed about Greenland is obviously not a good one, but maybe more important, it's obviously one that's not going to happen. So we probably shouldn't waste a lot of time talking about it.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford continues to say the same following U.S. media appearances and says there is more opposition regarding mergers and tariffs.
I'm not hearing the same tone from governors and senators and congresspeople, and my fellow premiers aren't hearing the same tone as well. So I think there's a little split down in the U.S., president saying one thing and elected officials are thinking something opposite.
And late this afternoon, Premier Ford said he had just wrapped up a meeting with the other premiers and says talks will continue with outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau next Wednesday in Ottawa.